system, but depending on how smoothly the bearings, they'll start to drop back. And this southwest face is the one that we have the shear pin. So that's telling me that maybe it's starting to bind up again. Yeah, so we'll have to get dents and vents on it. Keep it going.
I think we should look
for
for
set them every
for
2
live.
Set them every 2 weeks. It's a nuisance, but that, because I'd have received a call or two.
Yeah, well,
We should get sponsorship and they can have a little logo under it. Type in a little
Probably
type.
couldn't read, yeah, it was
Yeah.
good.
'Cause that's gonna be expensive.
it is. I got pricing from the original company, and there's not much out there. I mean, you look at universities and stuff, they all have the same system we have. You think that there's this big, huge,
Market.
like something out of London, like 1810. It's not. It's these little teeny party.
The boxes are about this big.
So, but they have new clock faces that have better, they actually have, which I don't know why they didn't on these, they actually have like bearings in the clock face. But our clock face is starting to crack. We fixed it, the acrylic is wearing. So I think what I priced it was almost like $100,000. And the biggest issue is when they put that together the first time, they put it together on the ground and they lifted it up. And now it's gonna be really difficult to get those circular panels in from above. So it's,
When are we going to paint the building? Didn't we budget some money for that?
yeah, I've actually got to talk to the mayor about that today. We're struggling getting the specifications to make sure that we get like equal bids and what we need. So yeah, it's complicated. You don't want to do anything to the building to actually damage it. So to make sure we do it right, but that's in the budget. Yeah.
Looks like it's 8:30, so I call the meeting to order. And the first one is United Methodist Church parking.
Okay, we got a request from the United Methodist Church right up the street here, asking if they could put in 2 accessible parking stalls in front of their building right here on Kitsap Street. They're hoping to get the handicap signs placed on the street, 2 of them directly in front of their building. They're saying that they don't necessarily always have enough parking for everyone who attends their Sunday services who might need accessible spots.
Would they be blocking the entrance, or are they on both sides of the entrance? Do you understand the layouts, or?
My understanding is that they wanted them just kind of in front
Just 2 of them
the
somewhere there.
building.
Okay.
I don't know. They have it down to the
Okay.
precise.
Because it looks like they wanted the entry clear, but I've noticed they've put out temporary things on Sundays.
They have, and they should not be putting those in the right of way.
Oh, they're on the sidewalk. Okay.
They're blocking the sidewalk, though. The sidewalk
Okay.
needs to have at least 4 feet.
Okay.
I believe it might actually. Is it just 4 feet for
It's 4
ADA?
feet, but they
Okay.
shouldn't be shouldn't be trying to regulate the public right of way.
So it's parking like there
Rest of
on
the
any
week,
day,
or-
yeah, the rest of the week.
Full.
It's full.
Well, not
I
now.
don't know that it's
Not now.
full.
It's not.
Typically,
I mean, right now it's not used.
not now, but I mean,
But
it's,
on weekends.
well, to me, the bigger issue is, well, there's 2 issues. One is, in the past, council has not, when you have your parking requirement for your facility, you're supposed to provide your parking, which includes your percentage for ADA on street or off street parking. So in the past, the councils has always basically said, no, we don't provide ADA parking for a facility on streets. One, you can't guarantee that it's meeting.
Because it's enforced.
Well, it's enforced, but anybody can use those. You can't say that these are now the 2 for the church. Anybody can use them.
Okay.
So that's always been an issue. Whether there was that gal on Frederick that was like, I need one in front of my apartment. And I was like, well, no, because anybody can park there. The other issue is if you put an ADA stall, it has to meet ADA compliance. And that means it can't be greater than 2% in grade. So I don't know if that's necessarily 2% or not. It's getting towards the top of the hill, but it's still hill. 2% is pretty flat.
So it was 7.
What's that?
I thought it was a 7% grade.
No, that's for ramps.
Okay.
ADA parking can't be more than 2%. So,
Do they have, is this their parking lot here? Where do they,
So it is
They
their
don't
parking
have
lot,
parking.
it's off-site though, so their only on-site parking is this little
back here?
piece back here, which is, Sydney Avenue is pretty steep right here, and they've only got, I think, maybe 3 parking spaces in
yeah,
that
this
area.
this
It's
church is
very
obviously
small.
built for parking requirements were.
It was expanded from the original historic church.
Right. And when it got expanded, it should have, I mean, parking requirements had been around a long time. So, I guess, I'm not sure the facility, because usually in church you have, based on the number of pews or
Yeah,
whatever.
So they have no accessible parking now?
They have no parking. All their parking is.
Well, you
on-
could
No
say all of
accessible
it's-
parking in this immediate
They
area
use
here?
this is their parking.
I don't
Well,
think they have
that
it
belongs
designated.
to,
Okay.
that doesn't belong to them. They use it. I don't know if they have an agreement or anything, but.
There's an
people park.
ADA over on Prospect on the other side of the Sydney Museum. Is it 1 or 2? Which is
There's
off our
one
map.
space
Yeah.
on
And
Prospect.
that is a long way for someone
That
to
is a
walk
very long way.
from there to the
And it's
church.
uphill.
Well, it's not ADA,
But,
it's not an ADA route, so.
And that has its own problems, that spot, but,
Yeah, to me, the biggest issue is we couldn't even approve one if this slope on Kitsap is more than 2%. I mean, that's hard and fast.
And I appreciate your comment in that the ADA parking is not on street parking. I hadn't thought about that, but what we have downtown is in the back area.
Yeah, we went and verified, there's a few spots, like there's, I think, where did we look? There's a few in town, and I don't know how they ended up. I think there's one on Sydney down by, well, we have the 2 in the parking lot, then we have one at the library.
Right.
Right. But we added that one. There's 2 in the 4-hour parking, but those aren't on street. There might be one on
I can't see it on my map.
Sydney, but they're far and few between, and I can't really justify, how and why they got there.
Got there.
But again, the biggest challenge for me is, so if you take these out, now they're gonna be limited, there'll be 2 less stalls on Kids Out. But the biggest thing is, if it's more than 2%, which I can have it checked.
Might be, because there's a slight slope.
Yeah, I think it's more than
on
2%.
Kitsap, yeah.
Because as soon as you go to Sydney, it's starting to go down, so.
Can you do me a favor, Mark? Can you check on that 2%? Because when I worked in operations and transit, Bainbridge Island Ferry Terminal is on an uphill kind
Oh, I
of
know.
horseshoe.
No, I know it's 2%.
And
I know that you're.
I was under 7% was my impression for loading and offloading.
You can have.
Stuck in my mind for some reason. Then
You-
again, it's 12 years ago.
You can have ramps at 12-1, which is 8.3%, and you have to have a rest stop every 30 vertical inches. But the cross slope on a parking stall, or even like on a handicap ramp, is 2%.
I'm leaning towards granting this, but obviously we're split.
I'm concerned about the rest of the week when there isn't a need for the ADA spots and they're reserved. You could say that there isn't a lot of use there, but I kind of like the Band-Aid that they've been using where they
I do
have the
too.
little things out and they say, please reserve this for our handicap members, or whatever it is they say.
For church services.
Yeah,
Right.
because they roll them out and it's
It's
what
like
they
a sandwich
use.
board.
Yeah.
They're,
If I remember.
they're buckets full of
Okay.
concrete with signs.
Oh,
in
okay.
them.
Yeah.
And they're putting them on the sidewalk
They're
itself
putting them on the
or
sidewalk that I've seen.
Yeah.
tree lawn or? Is there a tree line here?
I thought it was a very
But
resourceful.
they've been
thing
sticking
to
them
do.
right in the sidewalk, right at the edge of the roadway.
I think that would have to be more like a
Places for
see no
homes
evil, hear no
for
evil,
six and a
because
half days.
from a code enforcement standpoint, we couldn't
For the
like,
neighbors,
officially
for anybody.
support that position.
Could you put a time that this is
It's
a
handicapped
handicap
only on
stall, like
Sundays.
Sunday from
Church services only.
6 a.m. until 3 p.m. or something?
Well, then the other thing you get with that is, you know, the time might be fine, but church services, because what if they have a wedding there, or what if they have Wednesday night services? I mean,
Yeah.
they may have functions in the church other than just
Yeah,
Sunday
they don't,
morning.
you know, they've got functions outside of that.
Yeah, but I don't know, I would,
But you gotta remember the parking space criteria for handicap is different as well.
it might be best to leave it as it is, see no evil, hear no evil.
Well, is there anything illegal about the suggested signs that they put out of it?
You're not supposed to have anything in the right of way.
So if they put it off the sidewalk,
Well, sidewalk.
is it all sidewalk?
Yeah.
But that's complaint driven and no one's complained about it, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying, is we would have to basically not
Yeah.
make an official,
I don't remember seeing it, but I remember there's such there.
Is this the sidewalk, this width here?
Yes.
So if they put it up here,
Still in the right of way. The right of way
goes
The
all the way to
black
the
lines.
building?
right up to the building, yeah.
Okay.
That's where their property ends.
I'm kind of inclined to leave it as it is. Or
I
or
am too.
grant
I hadn't
permission.
thought about, I had not realized that we didn't have on-street handicap parking. But if we grant it here, that's going to open the door for many other businesses that may want handicap directly.
We're not wanted, yeah.
In front of their business.
yeah, we do have a few that, you know, without going back and trying to dig into the archives, I don't
Right.
know what the.
Well, I'm thinking maybe the Gibbons Center is going to want something directly in front of theirs. I mean, there are other facilities within the city that if we grant it, how do you then discern
Right.
this one is
You
okay
start
and
at-
that one's
You start at the snowball rolling,
Yeah.
kind of, and then you have to look at all.
And I'm not opposed to it, I hadn't thought, I didn't realize we didn't have
It's
on-street.
very clear in the code that when you have a facility, you're supposed to provide off-street parking, and then out of the ADA, there's a percentage of the parking, there's a table that says you have 0 to 35 stalls, you have to provide one ADA space, and then 36 to 70, you have to provide 2. And so there's this table that says how many you are to provide, and then it has the criteria for the width is different, because you also, you know, then you have to have so many for a van space, or once you get more than 2 ADA stalls, then you have to provide a van space as well, and then the van space is much larger. And so you just start getting into this whole following down the ADA compliance piece.
I'm
And then the
inclined-
curb ramps need to meet. So they would technically also have to put a curb ramp in the sidewalk.
Yeah, curb cut. So do we know who's using this lot here of the church congregation? Anybody, or is it just the pastor or whoever else?
I've never seen it utilized regularly. I can't figure out how they use it. It's not marked with lines. I know the apartment people use it late at night, but I think they just, I don't know if they have official
And
permission.
that definitely wouldn't meet the 2%.
Yeah, it's kind of down in a little
Yeah,
bit.
but it's their property.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Just-
once you drive there though, isn't it level to the bottom of the church? No.
Yeah, if you're up
It
in
may
here,
be. I'm trying to remember it.
But I don't think they have, I think that was the issue, wasn't it, is
Yeah,
that they could get in there, but they can't get into the facility
Facility.
internally, there's no elevator.
Oh, they don't have an elevator?
At least
I
that's
would
what
imagine
the
that's the same thing
gentleman who brought in this
with this
complaint
one.
was saying.
Yeah.
Would it work for the committee if you ask the mayor and Mark to go up there and talk to the pastor and see if there's something?
yeah, I think
That'll
that
give
would be
me-
great. Explain what,
Yeah, and then
what the
come back to you
reservations
about
are.
what he said or what
Yeah,
he didn't say.
we'd like to, but then it opens up everything and it may not.
Well, that'll give me a chance to look and see,
And we can look at the grade, the 2 to
yeah,
7%.
I gotta look at the
see what-
grade.
Maybe they can work something out over here with this property owner or something.
They have
I-
a ramp to the kitchen.
I'm sympathetic to the need, but
Yeah.
I don't,
I am too,
I
but
don't
I
know
hear
how we
what
can.
Bill's saying, and I agree. Where do we stop at this point? I mean, pretty soon we'll have ADA, at least people asking for them on almost every public or something. So,
I appreciate that, Mayor, that works for me.
that works.
Yeah.
Fred, okay.
We'll set up.
And I'll have George go out just in advance very quickly, because he's got the electronic
Good, yeah, so we have all,
information. 'Cause I know that we can't approve, if you can't build it to the standards, then we could.
but we can give them suggestions about their little barrel and sign where it can be so that it's legal.
All right, thank you, Mayor. All right, next up, looks like we have another trailer request for the street parking.
We do. So this is a letter that we received asking for parking for a 1974 16-foot trailer. They'd like to park at 908 Klein Avenue.
This is an easy one for me.
Well, the only one I remember in the last couple of years was the guy that had the septic problems and needed his trailer to use the restroom facility while he was working out fixing the septic,
That was on
right?
his own property.
Yeah, that was his own property, and that was kind of a special deal, which they're actually now putting that sewer in. He was able to get a couple other people in the neighborhood, so they're doing grinder pumps. The situation so the city used to have RV parking permits, and they had probably a half dozen. I think, Fred, you'll probably remember this one, when then the city council voted to, because there's, I guess, quite a bit of people complaining about RVs just like sitting there forever. And so the council made the decision to not allow those anymore because there's storage facilities for those sorts of things. And for the existing permits that were still, because they were on a renewal basis, I think they were good for 3 years. It might have been 5, I think it was 3 years. And so when the council voted and changed the code to disallow RV parking, because it was, well, I think it was always in the code, and that's why they had to get this permit. You can't have boats, RVs, trailers, and that was kind of the catalyst for when even Northwest Tree Service was parking on Kitsap. It's in the code, it's not allowed. And so when the council basically, through a resolution maybe, said that they would no longer issue RV parking permits, and those people that had permits that were valid just wouldn't be able to renew. And that had to have been, there can't be any more valid RV parking spaces. So, so there's no vehicle in place to even issue this or to approve this request unless you go back to the council and they undo that resolution or ordinance or whatever it was. And I know Brandy would be able to dig that up. But again, the basis for the council's decision was there are storage units plentiful in the area, and that's what people do, is they have put their RVs and their trailers if they don't have any room on their property in the storage unit. But they weren't going to allow them because the neighbors were, I think it started with that one guy with the big RV that had the for sale sign in it forever. It was like perpetually. And when the city would ask him about it, he'd say, well, it's still for sale. Well, it was for sale for like 20 years. So to grant this one, you'd have to really go against, and I'm not saying you can because you can't compel future council, but you'd have to take it back to a full discussion.
I'd be more worried about taking up more likely 3 spots, if not more, 16 feet
Where
plus
is
the
it
top.
now? Where is it? Did he not buy it, or is it another county? Or
He said that it was parked somewhere else and they told him that he had to. So I'm guessing it was like a friend's house or something.
oh,
He
okay.
didn't quite say.
So so it hasn't been there. Is that the this between Smith or that's near Gibbons, right? Smith,
Yeah.
Kendall, Taylor. And it doesn't really matter where it is because I'm not inclined to. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's unanimous. We'll move on.
I know I sound like a curmudgeon this morning, but
Well, no,
was thinking.
you can imagine if everybody, once again, like the council said, what if everybody says, I want my trailer, I want my motorhome sitting there, pretty soon?
It's parking such a premium in that area.
The only thing I would consider is if we charged for it. I don't know what fee we would consider would be fair.
Yeah, but when you think about, anyway, I won't go into it. And he wants it only for a few months, so he's,
Half a
he
year.
obviously.
All-Star, they have, I put my boat, in the storage unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to right now. There's no street parking in my neighborhood. Okay. I mean, you're allowed, I think, 24 hours, so if
Right,
people
you
want
can
to
do
get it
24
on
hours.
Friday afternoon and
Clean it or.
clean it up, take off Saturday or whatever, you're allowed to do that. And then, and I see people come in Sunday night parking, and it's gone by Monday, so it works in my neighborhood. And there's zero parking, one side of the street that's it. So I'm kind of looking at the same thing. Okay. Tree removal.
This is just, so Mark Fournier at the shop is going to become more proactive for, Parks used to do it for a while. Take care of or they were. Mark used to take care of the trees in the right of way, and then Parks did it. But, Mark, I guess Mark's much more diligent from the standpoint of the criteria on street trees and signage and things like that. And so as he was going through the city, he noticed these two in particular on Mitchell over by the high school, whereas the one tree has thrived and the other one hasn't. And so basically there are these two trees that are gonna die. They're just not thriving. And he's gonna be going in and these, like you can see in this one picture, that tree grate there isn't even a tree grate there anymore. So he's going through, he's looking at some of these trip hazards and things of that nature to get these grates. So he's gonna be able to take the grate, for example, on this one tree that he's taking out, just fill that in with concrete and reuse these grates.
We'll have to cut them all out, there's not enough.
Yeah, he'll have
Not
to.
enough stumpage area on the grates to.
Right, this stump's pretty large and he'll do something differently on that, but he said he could use these grates in some of these other locations. I guess the main thing is, there's trees throughout there, they're all planted when the high school was built, but these two trees in particular are, they're too close together and the one has dominated the other.
I'd almost think we should take the big one out because it's already into the power lines and let the little one grow for about 5 years.
Well, he's gonna start pruning these back, is what he's gonna do. That's what kind of led to the whole thing, was looking at starting to prune the trees so that they grow more uniform and healthy.
That'll please some people on Kitsap Street.
Oh, well, we fixed that situation. We moved this on. So yeah, I think these need to go and there's no reason to plant something back.
That's just FYI, right?
Well, I wanted to just,
Yeah.
just make sure you guys were aware and.
What you gotta do in the garden is cut out the ones that are thriving. Okay, A-board signs.
This is just an FYI. So Kathy has put together these handouts for A-boards in general and for downtown A-boards in specific. And
This was requested at the last meeting. I think Councilmember Ashby had asked for this. And so we're also looking at doing a separate one for putting things in the right of way, but until we get that issue sorted out, we weren't really sure what to put down because we're looking into, with the attorney, an interlocal agreement, potentially with WashDOT, for the use of the right of way. We're exploring our options, but there's such a mixture of rules and regulations, it's not clear what that handout needs to say yet.
Okay, and this is great. Are you guys gonna take it to the POPSA meeting?
I was planning on it, except that I got called for jury duty, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be available for that.
Okay.
So I can send staff, or I can print some for the mayor.
Well, maybe one of the staff, because they're better versed at explaining it. but-
The other question I have, or comment I have with that is, my real question at the last meeting, the A-board was a piece of that, but you said that right away was the other, because we're getting to that season where people are gonna wanna put their tables and chairs out on the sidewalk.
Yeah. Yeah, and
We're
right
gonna
now,
hopefully have something moving
By then.
forward. I hope so. We're working on it. I asked Carol to check with the attorney in Bremerton because they have several of those boulevards that are AKA county, state and city. And I was told, but I was only just told this, that they use some kind of an agreement where the state just says, okay, you take care of the right-of-way according to your regulations. If they do that, then we'll quickly come back to you with some kind of a temporary use permit. Is that what we'll have?
She's proposing two things. Well, we're looking into the interlocal agreement, and then for right-of-ways in general, we want to have a street right-of-way use permit where people can apply to do something within
And
the
then
right-of-way.
we'll, once again, have something like this to say, okay, except you have to leave this much room for ADA, you have to have this much room
Right,
for
and I
fire.
believe the merchants downtown and even throughout this city just want to know what the rules are.
Right.
And understand them and have some assistance in working through them.
It sounds like it'd be better to do it cross citywide rather than
Yeah.
just downtown, so we
Exactly.
have two different,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, we should have a city, like I mentioned at our meeting, you know, when we started this before, it was for Bay Street. And then we stopped it because of the DOT, but we really shouldn't have. We should have just continued with the merchant. Remember, we had two. One was for dining and one was for merchandise.
Right.
I think we should still have like those two main things as a right-of-way use permit citywide. And then we'll deal with this state thing independently. But we've got two, you know, we got 160 and 166, and 166 goes all the way up past Albertsons and, you know, up to the South Park. So, and then you got 160 where at some point between, you know, Bravo Terrace, that corridor up to Bethel and all the way in front of Fred Meyer. So we have areas of that we have to get the
That
agreement
interface between.
with the
yeah.
state on both 160 and 166.
And besides downtown, I've had merchants along Mile Hill ask me about, and going out Bethel, about A-boards and different signages and uses of that.
Feather
So-
signs seem to be another big one, you know, they like the feather,
Yeah.
feather signs, where can they? So, okay, I hope Carol will come back to Nick and I and say, this is what she recommends, or this is what she found out. And then we can work with WashDOT and get it.
But I concur, we need the permits that we were talking about,
Yeah.
and then deal with the state.
Yeah, the use permit just allows us the ability to look at them each case by case.
Right.
And make sure that the person that's putting the merchandise or the tables out understands that they have to maintain the pedestrian access route, and, you know, that they'll lose their use permit if they don't. And that includes weekends
We
when
would see something like this,
they would see
but
something
it
like
would
that.
be about other use.
Furniture, whatever. What's the permit fee cost? Is there one?
We had talked like $10. It was
Yeah.
nominal before, it was minimal.
Yeah, the one thing that our attorney said is that we
Can't give it away.
We can't give it away.
Yeah.
But something just would cover administrative costs.
But the
Could be
state's was
5.
90 months.
Yeah, but I would come to you suggesting the minimum.
Yeah, I'm okay with 10. I agree. We had to charge something and
10 a month or just 10 flat?
10 flat. Is it yearly?
Maybe
Is the
annually.
permit good for annually?
You know?
We can make it, we can make it.
I think it's an annual permit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine, and that'll account for any turnover or change of marketing strategy.
Yeah, because the idea isn't to generate income, it's
No.
to allow them some.
Well, they gotta have horse in the game, you know, they gotta have skin in the game.
Yeah, they have to pay something,
To me, it's
otherwise
about-
anyone would do it, yeah.
It's a teaching moment. It's like the permit, the use permit simply allows the city the ability to, A, acknowledge that it's there, and B, provide the conditions of which it can be there. You know, and like I said, the nominal fee, so that's not gifting, and it covers some administrative costs, but this is just more of a, yeah, you can do this, but here are the conditions. Okay, great.
I think that's great.
So I have two little minor typos. Here you spell out 4, and then here you have the number. And so if you want to just type 4 and then put the number 4 in parentheses,
Okay,
that would work. And then it's consistent on both sides.
okay.
Can we also explain to them, like, this one, what right-of-way is? Because the way I'm reading number 4, when you're saying it can't be placed within the public property or right-of-way, it's like, well, where can you put it? For example, if you look at Bay Street, which I guess is an exception, it still seems like, well, where can you put it?
In some cases, like that one bakery has their A-board out in the back, facing in the parking lot
Okay.
side.
So they aren't allowed to put it on Bay Street?
No, They are in the
On the
downtown
sidewalk.
overlay district, you're allowed to do the sidewalk,
Okay.
but that's the only part of town
Okay.
where that's currently allowed.
Okay.
Yeah, you can run into
Okay.
some issues though. You need to maintain that 4-foot passage on the sidewalk. So in some cases you run into an issue when there's signage and the marquee and various
The
things
posts,
also
yeah.
taking up
And the
space.
planters.
Yeah.
So this, I think, said one sign per entrance. Could they do on both sides of the building, in the parking lot and the front?
They could.
Okay, is it gonna be the same $10 permit for
It's gonna
both?
be 2 permits, I think.
Per permits?
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine, I just was
Okay.
curious, I wanted to make
Or
sure they
it
could do both,
It could
because
be
it said
for
one
the,
sign.
it could be for the business too, couldn't it be one permit fee for the business? Or maybe not.
I think there's a permit per sign, every sign
Is it?
has to be.
Okay.
If it's only $10, that really isn't very much.
Right.
$10 annually.
For the season, yeah.
Okay. Great, and then what was the estimated delivery for the furniture flyer? I wanted to make a note.
Well, it's depending on a lot of things that are
Carol
being researched
Carol
right
is
now.
contacting the attorney in Bremerton, find out how they did it, and then she's going to craft an idea for Nick and I to look at. I hope this is just pass through to, the way through with the state, and that's an ILA, where the state says, yes, it's our right of way, but we're gonna somehow agree that you do this for us, and we allow, you allow us to come through your city, and, because we have a similar agreement with snow plowing, right?
Well, that's a RCW that
That allows us to plow it.
there's a list of, so for cities less than a population of 25,000, there's a list, there's a table again that says these are the things that the city will do. So we're in charge of storm drainage up to 60-inch diameter, vegetation, snow and ice. The state's in charge of all their signage.
So they really weren't magnanimous and weren't in agreement with us on that, that's state law.
That's an RCW that talks about maintenance.
So we're trying to find what we can do.
Yeah, there's the RCW that's maintenance based. This is like a different division. This is the right of way division.
It's a real estate division, really.
It's the real estate division, yeah.
My question is, I know that Carol's working that, you guys will expedite it, but the next Port Orchard Bay Street Association meeting is the third Thursday of the month. And is there any chance that we would have some information at all to give the merchants at that time? Because the next weekend is Memorial Day, and that's when people are gonna want to start doing things.
Why don't we give Carol
Call today.
just say, can you have this, 5 days before that, so that we can at least report to the organization?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll do.
We just want to be helpful with them.
All right, great. Anything good for the order? All right, meeting's closed. Unfortunately, I don't think we can start until 10.
That's what I'm afraid of.
I'm wondering what transit did. We had a work study session that was noticed from 8 to 9, and then the regular meeting that was noticed from 9 to 10. And what they did away with is they just said, this is the meeting from 8 to 10. And so if they got done with the work study issues, they could start
the other
earlier.
one.
And I'm wondering if we should do that with these committees, just notice both committees at the same time, starting at 8, and the other one following as soon as it's over. And then we don't have to sit around for an hour if this happens in the future. I don't know.
Yeah.
So-
Nick, can we'll
Yeah,
check with
absolutely.
Randy and check and
Let's
see that we
just
can
note
get
it that way in the
Yeah.
future, and then, because, we've got an hour now we have to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, did you already close it?
Yeah.
Okay. Last meeting you had asked us to look at the Bethel South property, and we have not had time to look at that yet, so the history of the naming and how it was donated, so.
Oh,
we'll put that
okay.
on, we'll carry that forward to the next meeting.
Okay. I'm sorry.
But that's okay. I didn't put it on the agenda because
Okay.
I didn't have anything to report, but I just wanted to let everybody know.
Thanks.
Maybe we should just give an FYI about the Hall Street trailer problem, moving of that, or just to let them know what you do on your spare time when you think you have